see what's happening in America with the attacks on our freedoms. The question is there? It doesn't look like it's just the old communist Marxist ideology, but it seems like there's some other sick philosophy behind all this. Is there some way that we can unify as a conservative movement to get at the root of the problem, rather than just being on the defensive every time some new crazy idea pops up? Where's this coming from?
You've got to understand how Marxism evolved and developed through the second half of the 20th century. And until the conservative movement starts to get its head around that, it's going to have a hard time understanding, what's the influence of what's called postmodern philosophy? Why is it using identity categories? How is that unique to Western sensibilities? So it's a very different thing. But if we want to get down to the root of it, we also have to be able to look and say, well, where did Marxism come from in the first place? So not just what's the recent evolution of Marxism, what's the recent evolution of Marxism going into American schools, which it did, how did it get there, how do we get it back out? But the other end, where did Marxism come from in the first place? Well, Marx got his ideas from Hegel and from Rousseau. And where did they get their ideas? Well, they got their ideas from literally the esoteric and theosophical religions that were kind of the elite strata of European society in the late medieval period. And where do those ideas come from? And they go back to the old Gnostic heresies. That's where it comes from. And so if you don't kind of look deeply and then also look at the specific evolution that it's taken in the last 75 years, we're not going to have the tools necessary to be able to tell people what's happening. Because I think most Americans still agree, if they're at least over 25 years old, which is its own problem, that if they know it's communism, then they're going to try to say something and do something about it and push these people out of positions of power, push them out of office. For example, the state of Oklahoma just tried to, the governor issued an executive order to ban DEI after I went and had a long meeting with their Senate and helped them understand that it is in fact a communist insurgency tool. But it took them 3 years to figure out how it works and everything so that they could take this move. So the conservative movement has to do its homework. It's been able to kind of push for lower taxes and other let's talk about the border. It's got to get down to the root of the philosophy, and it's going to take some study. It's going to take actual conservative intellectuals getting the information right, so the average person can have a platform to stand on when they go to try to deal with the people in their lives.
Second question: the religious community. Does a religious community, do they have to be so narrow in their viewpoint that they can't work together? Not focus on their divisions, but find a way to come together to solve these problems. Is that important for the religious community in general to work together and be unified?
No, all the religious communities have to. You don't have to agree theologically. You're not going to. So it's stupid to ask you to. They don't need to do that, but they do need to say, I stand with them, and I stand with them, and I stand with them, because we're against something that's against us all, and is very threatening to us all, and will rob us of our religious liberty to pursue, first of all, our own faith, and then to debate it with one another. Like the common refrain, we'll hear it here, or you've probably already heard it here at AmericaFest, is if we don't set that aside and work together, we're gonna debate our theological differences from prison.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's absolutely crucial.
Wow, what a statement.
It's absolutely crucial that you say, you know what? Yeah, I disagree with the whatever or whatevers, and they disagree with me, the Catholics and the Protestants, just be real generic about it. But you know what? Are they fighting the communists? Okay, we're in that together. And then we can argue about the theology after we stop the threat to our liberty.
Wow, very good. Thank you very much. We need to find the root. What do you think the root, where's this coming from?
Sure. If you go back to when our nation became the United States, those who dominated were what's called the conservative traditionalists. So they recognized the laws of nature and nature's God, but they also recognized how it had proven itself and played out, for example, in the United Kingdom. Eight parts of our Bill of Rights are actually reflective at the time in the Constitution of England. So we had that as our foundation. Natural law plus a foundation of where it was proven and proven to be throughout our nation's history. Well, then in the 1940s, after the Holocaust, then our nation decided to be much more radicalized. And we grabbed on to what's called enlightened liberalism. Enlightened liberalism, which basically stripped away the tradition and instead just grabbed onto concepts like equality, liberty, and then the left started using those to build their agenda, which is in complete opposition to the basic principles of our Bill of Rights and traditional conservatism. So that's where we're at. In order to get back to where we were, we need to go back to traditional conservatism, which means we need to have a nation that's where faith is strong, where faith is supportive of a family, where it is supportive of government, and frankly, we're very optimistic. We're going to see a good bit of that. We even have red states that we're working with to pass laws that are reflective of traditional conservatism, as well as being supportive of religious freedom, parents' rights, and the sanctity of human life across the United States.
That's great. I like to hear that. Another question. We have America's full of different religious faith beliefs.
Right.
We tend to focus on our differences rather than what unites us.
Right.
Do you think we'd be more stronger as a conservative movement if we were to work together across those denominational lines to focus on what's important for saving our freedoms?
Yeah, it's so important for us all to work together, whether someone is Muslim, Jewish, Christian, or some other religious group, because we all have something to gain and we have something to lose, and that's our religious freedom.
Right.
Even if as we look as America and our founding as a Christian nation, a true Christian nation has to have freedom, because Christianity is based upon the right to have a personal relationship with God through faith in Jesus Christ, or not. So even a true Christian nation, per se, has to have freedom, because Christianity is a relationship with God, not a mandate. So that foundation of our Christian heritage actually necessitates religious freedom for everyone. We get that at Pacific Justice Institute. I'm a Christian. I'm an unapologetic Christian. I received Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior back when I was in 3rd grade, and it's changed my life. It's directed my life. At the same time, I know that unless we have religious freedom for everyone, we have religious freedom for no one. And I will continue to echo that messaging, and I think we all need to echo that messaging as we work together. The challenge has never been greater against our civil liberties and our constitutional rights as they are right now. And it's imperative that we work hard to elect people to office, and including the U.S. Senate and the White House, who are going to appoint judges to the Supreme Court, Circuit Court, and District Courts that work to reflect and protect the Constitution and our First Amendment rights of free speech and the free exercise of religion.
Well, thank you very much for all your hard work.
Values unite. They're not religion. There are Christians who differ with other Christians. There are Jews who differ with other Jews. Values is the unity, not religion. I am closer to a secular man like Douglas Murray than to many religious people. And so are those religious people. So I'm a Jew. I have this very large Christian following. But for them, it's a non-issue. I'm a Jew, and it's for me a non-issue that they're a Christian. Unity is over values.
The problems keep coming and coming. Do you think it is important to get to the root of the problem?
Well, the root is values.
The root of values.
Yes. And the ultimate value is what we call Judeo-Christian. Ultimately, if God didn't say love your neighbor as yourself, it's meaningless.
Thank you.